process on like weight loss and during the camp, it's something of a methodical process that needs to be really accounted for the fighter, like almost daily. And I completely understand, like David Benavidez is a very talented individual. He has everything that it takes to. Unfortunately, obviously, he missed weight, but I know he's going to get back there and he's going to take that belt back in the near future. But with the whole weight loss aspect, it's just making sure that by the end of the day, we have to understand that fighters are human. I mean, there's always going to be cases where they are going to crave sugar, they are going to crave carbs. It's really difficult to really stay with a eating regimen. So it's really up to the coach to make sure that not only they hold them accountable, but also to motivate them because I think like weight loss and weight management, it's almost within like a negative context. Like, oh man, it's like, I think the whole aspect of camp when they're getting ready for the fight, it's not the training or the sparring. It's like, dang, I gotta clean up my diet. I gotta cut the soda, I gotta cut the alcohol. I'm like, all right, okay, I guess I'm gonna start that. So I think it's just really heavily relying on the coach, whether it be the strength and conditioning coach, the skill coach, the boxing trainer, whoever it may be, or maybe just it takes maybe a whole village, like all of the coaches at the same time, to make sure we hold the fighter accountable, which is mostly, that's usually the case, especially with all of my fighters. It's not just me, like kind of like hammering down on the fighter, like, hey, what's your weight today, bro? Or what did you eat? How's your eating? It's usually just a whole family accountability, if I want to put it into categorization. We all care. We want to make sure that, one, he's not suffering that badly, he or she is not suffering that badly, but at the same time, we want to make sure that by the time they're entering fight week, when they're about to weigh in, they're not going to kill themselves to try to hit the scale on point, you know?
Now, as far as training amid this whole pandemic, I know you've had a lot of experience in that. You've had your struggles in a way, a lot of barriers maybe, gyms, a lot of gyms are not open. How difficult is it? Because I know Benavidez did state that he didn't always have the accessibility to gyms or sauna, things like that.
Yeah, it was very difficult, especially from the first initial stages when we closed down in March, right? That was our very first close, and that was like literally, that was like a hard close. It was like no real like warning. It was just like, hey, starting in 2 hours, everything will be shut down. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And with that being said, at least from my experience, it was just, thank God, I've invested in my own equipment, so this equipment was mobile, so I was able to really just move from gym to gym. But as you kind of really stated there, it's like it became a point where this pandemic grew to a scale in which every single gym, even boxing gyms, even the small gyms, they need to be shut down. So I was literally with my team like bouncing back and forth from one gym to another, and doors started closing just because it was a mandated order. And it literally went to a point where I went to my assistant coach's house and was like, you know what? These fighters still need to train and they still want to get in and get some work. Because everything was up in the air. It was all uncertainty. We don't know when the fight dates will come back because all the fights got rescheduled and canceled. So by the end of the day, the fighters need to stay ready because tomorrow they can get a phone call. Hey, everything's opening again. We're going to get a fight in 2 weeks. So we had to get those fighters. We had to make sure the fighters were staying ready. So yeah, I was literally training from my assistant coach, Coach Mark's house, like literally, And we were there for a good while. Then things started to open up a little bit. I think it closed down again. So we were a little back and forth. But once again, thankfully to UFC Gym Rosemead. They made it work. That's the facility I work from. We moved the whole facility like outside. So obviously with the mandated rules that there's no indoor activities allowed, the whole thing is that we moved all the equipment to the outdoors, and now we're holding all of our training outdoors of UFC Gym Rosemead.
Okay, there you go. So a lot of people are tuning in. A lot of my family members are tuning in. So again, we have one of the best in the business. He's worked with, I'm just going to name a few names of people that you work with throughout your career. You worked with Leo Santa Cruz. You worked with Andy Ruiz, the first Mexican heavyweight champion of descent. You work with like Wladimir Ruiz, who's we know she's going to be made for big things. And so